Well, friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. Today I'm going to share a couple of things that came in the mail and also another trip to the LCS. So went to the card shop the other day. Um, Actually did what I've seen several folks do. Showcase Showdown. You see it sometimes, Mike and Chris will mention, like, had to run out and pick up a card for that. Jason's mentioned it when we've done Mount Rushmores. So say like, yeah, I kind of saw that on the calendar and decided to run out and grab something. So totally get it. Um, and so I actually did that. It's not a Pud Galvin birthday, so I couldn't run out and grab one of those. But I actually shared the card the other day, so I'll start sharing what I snagged at the LCS first, and then I'll share the mail. The very first one from the LCS is the one I really was intending. Kind of silly. I actually have had a couple of his cards purchased for several weeks, actually. But one of the downsides of ComC is if you forget to mail them to yourself, you own them, but you don't have them. So they're kind of trapped in ComC waiting to ship status. So I do have a couple more of this guy, but being that it was his birthday and I did want to mention him, I did snag a Johan Santana from the LCS for all of 50 cents. But um, I'll be honest, when I go in and get something that's, modern, I literally don't know anything about them. So I walk in and say, I will spend 50 cents on that, and I don't really know what it is. So I'm going to just go ahead and say I like how it looks and assume that 50 cents is fair. And the reason I assume 50 cents is fair is I can't get it shipped to me for that. So if it's less than a stamp, I assume that the LCS is the route to go. So maybe it's only worth a quarter and I got totally hammered, but it's probably not worth zero. So fair enough. Next one, I mean, same thing. I don't know what these are. So I don't know if a buck was completely destroying me or not, but I just thought that was a cool satchel page. So the reason I'm not calling out years or who makes them is I don't even know. I literally just buy those because I think they're cool. This one, darn you. I've been influenced. Um, Brent Richards was doing a Diamond Kings episode the other day, and I don't even know if I commented on it. I was driving around. I've actually probably watched and liked a lot more comments or a lot more videos lately because I've been working so much. Haven't had a chance to go back and type in words, but good episode. Definitely very, very good episode on Diamond Kings. And he was showing off some different Diamond Kings. So as I'd stop at a stoplight or something like that, sometimes I'd have to pause it so I could look down and take a look at my phone. But Frank Thomas, I don't, Frank Thomas kind of got big around the time I was collecting a little bit less. I was collecting big when he was a rookie, but as his career kind of took off was when I was, you know, end of high school, early college, and that's tends to be the time a lot of us at least take a little bit of a pause for budget and schedule and lifestyle changes. But I thought that was a cool one, and it was priced at $2. And so I grabbed another Frank Thomas. So, cool pose. You can just imagine he just destroyed a ball. Um, Talk about funny. He was criticized in his day for not being aggressive enough. And now in our on base percentage world, we look at him as being almost like a 400 hitter because he was so patient and walked so often. So yeah, our perspective on these players can definitely change over time as the game changes. Next one, I mean, I've got 89 Upper Deck, and I've got some other stuff of his, but Griffey spent 26 minutes in Chicago, so I thought, you know what, I see a Griffey in a White Sox uniform, I'll do that, and it is cool because, man, I'm getting some massive glare, especially on these new shiny cards. But it's cool to see the stats. So getting a chance to see his career totals at that stage of his career, very cool. A couple others. Realize this guy's in my mind controversial. I feel like anybody that played in the 90s, early 2000s and was dominant, uh, we have question marks on. So I'm not sure where Bagwell falls, but I realized I didn't have a lot of Bagwell stuff. So I snagged a couple of his. I actually found several as I was going through, but Stadium Club and an Upper Deck. This would be probably tail end of my wheelhouse. This was early teens, Aaron, so 91 kind of range. Um, Still collecting for sure at that stage, somewhat significantly, but those cards were actually kind of pricey. Um, Back in the day, at least for a teenager. And then back into a little more wheelhouse. So 85 Don Russ Leaf, Steve Carlton. Saw that for a quarter. I'm like, all right, that's a win. And then just some other stuff that I thought was just randomly cool. 66 tops, good old Veda Pinson, 50 cents. Now, these are my kind of condition. These are you would never grade that. I can eyeball that and be like, two. Yeah, like, 50 cents. So like 25-cent Al Oliver. Like, how do you lose on that, right? That's a cool one. 74 tops there. 76 tops. This guy's got some good images, and I don't have a lot of his cards, so not trying to collect a run, but when you see a 75-cent card, part of it I'm just keeping that relationship with the LCS going. So um, I think that was like $7.25 that I just showed you. And then I grabbed Big Bomber for the trip, the $5 Hoyt Wilhelm, 72 tops. It's card number 777, so extreme high number. Again, talk about like the long career, kind of fun to see. Um, you get those, first cards are cool, last cards are neat in a whole different way and way more affordable. So it's kind of fun to get those. But I walked up to the counter of those. Initially, I had like $10 for the cards. I'm like, well, 10's no good. How does he give me a deal on that? He's gonna say, give me 10. So I kept picking a few more like quarter cards and added Tony Perez, whatever. So you got to like 12.25. I was like sharing this stuff because I think it's fun to see how the relationships matter. And I walked up. I mean, 12.25. I figured slam dunk. He's gonna say, all right, 20% off, whatever. Call it $10. So I set it on the counter. I was like, all right, what can you do for me? And he looks through it and he's like, let's just call it seven. Really? All right. So seven. That's a win. What is that? 40% off. So that makes all my 50-cent cards 30 cents. So now I feel, pretty strong. My Tony Perez is like 45 cents and Hoyt Wilhelm's down to $3. Like that's a win. So cool pickup. It was what, 10 cards, 12 cards, something like that. Nothing crazy, but also I guess update. I kind of teased he might have some other stuff coming. I'm not sure what all transpired. He said he did get some. I don't know if there's any more left or not, but he had a Matthews in it was priced fair. It was a strip card, W strip card, so that wasn't overly exciting. He had a bunch of commons. Some were really clean. So if you need common strip cards, I mean, literally players I hadn't necessarily heard of. So not even some of the people that have interesting stories that are in my realm of knowledge. Um, but he said there was one cob, and that kind of sold quickly to someone he knew. So he's like, yeah, there wasn't anything that I was going to reach out to you for because I didn't think there was anything that was super exciting for you. And I looked through what he had, and I'm like, yeah, kind of right, but thanks. So yeah, it was exciting for a second, but you just never know. You never know where you can find the next, little find and want to share. And then the last two things were mail days. So this one I was on with Josh and Jason. So Vintage Card Wonderland and of course Everyday Card Collector. And we were sharing our thoughts on best looking cards from different sets. I realized quickly my 1951 tops, the two I picked were two I had, and I feel like, that set's so affordable when you see one you like. And, Warren Spahn, sometimes he has the most amazing looking card, and sometimes he has kind of okay looking cards. I actually like that. I like those just kind of very simple portrait kind of looking things, but I think this is my third 51 tops, and it's a player I collect, so I figured that's a win, and it's low bucks. Um, it's not $10, but it's nowhere near $100 either, so not terrible. And then the last thing I grabbed is another player that I collect. Um, thought this was really, really neat. I've actually missed out on this a couple of times. So I always say in the 60s, there's so many Rawlings, Spalding, McGregor, Wilson, like whoever's making these, gloves and equipment, and they have these advisory staff, uh, marketing relationships. I just thought that pose of Ernie Banks is awesome. I think this is attributed as being like a 60 or 61. Not even recalling. Nice and clean. This is a 8x10 top loader. Of course, they're blank back, so nothing exciting there. But I just thought that image was so nice. I've actually bid on these a couple times and missed out. So this one went pretty reasonably. Excited to have a nice clean example. That's stuff you don't grade. It's worth dozens of dollars. It's nothing big, but great image and something else unique for the Ernie collection. So, pretty simple. Just, kind of pecking away and add some depth to the collection. So that's what I got for you. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.